Hello, welcome back. Today is December 4th. I'm Geraldine, and this is my channel about all things crafty, cross stitch, knitting, and it is time for another daily Flossmas video. So a little bit of an update. Things went really well yesterday. Everything went great. It was a really long day like we expected. So I was able to get some knitting done in the car for my Imagined Landscapes Gnome Knit Along. And I got about half of the clue done. And then we got there and I thought to myself, I should really note on the clue where I left off. Of course, remember, it's fine. It's a good stopping point. So we did all the things. Like I said, things went really well. We got back in the car and it was of course dark. I actually slept most of the way home, and then came home and we went pretty much straight to bed. It has been a long week, mostly of my own doing, staying up late stitching, and so I just felt like we needed a reset. So went to bed right away, so no more Jingle Ball fun for me, but that's okay. I really hope that there's something next year similar or the same that I'll be able to participate in. And then woke up this morning at about 8, came right to my sewing room. Didn't even make coffee because I could tell I needed water. So had some water this morning while I worked on my gnome. I got a couple rows in to the rest of the clue and realized that I skipped, so I was like, this doesn't seem right. Like the pattern that we were color working sort of in there didn't look like it finished how it had started, right? Like kind of what I was expecting it was going to look like. So I went on to Ravelry and looked at a couple pictures, and sure enough, it wasn't. So then I went back in the pattern, and I think what I did is I skipped the last 2 rows of the accent color before you just finish the rest of the piece. And I got to the part where I cut my yarn and then kept knitting. So I was past the point where I had cut my color work. And my I just, I could have probably tried to pull it back. But I really don't love doing that without having, sometimes if I think I'm going to have a difficult time, I will place a piece of yarn through a row of loops so that I have a place to pull back through that, and then that yarn will hold my stitches so I don't lose them. And I hadn't done that, so I just decided to pull it all back out. So I have no knitting to show you, even though I did get some knitting done. I did not get any stitching done, but once I changed course this morning and pulled out what I had knit so far, I made the decision to switch over to yesterday's Evertote Holiday Countdown pattern. And so I got that knit up this morning, or stitched this morning. It was a good stitch. It was a little bit difficult. Sorry, there's eyes bothering me. It was a little bit difficult. I'm using 40 count and I'm not a great counter, right? So to trust that I have it in the right spot. And so actually, as a tip, if you, I pulled out the day 1 chart because it had the same, it had the your graph numbers at the top and on the side. And so what I did is maybe I should show you, but I tried to match some of the pieces of day 1 in relation to where I was putting that next level down of stitches, just to kind of be an extra reference point. Since on the day 3 chart, I only had that last solid row, I would have had to count all of those stitches instead of having an extra point of reference with where that first the flower stem came from. So that's maybe a tip that might help you. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I can show you. I was also waiting for the Imagine Landscapes clue to come out. Part of the reason why I decided to pull out my knitting was because I want it to be right, like, and I don't want it to look janky because I like pulled it back and then I slipped some stitches or something. So I was hoping, had a feeling that maybe today would be another story day instead of it being a clue that we had to knit. So I was waiting for the clue. So that came this morning around 11, and maybe a little bit after actually, and it was a story. So I should have some time hopefully today to kind of get caught up. And if I get a little bit behind, like again, like with my knitting, like there's usually some natural breaks. So hopefully I won't get too far behind, but I do kind of want to, it's like one of those things, right? Like I want to keep up because I don't want to get too far behind, because then that's more pressure, but then I'm like adding pressure to myself now to get things done. So this is supposed to be fun, right? So we'll just take things as they come. Like I said before, we haven't decorated for Christmas yet. And I also have another big project today that I want to do. I purchased so I have in my craft room, I have an IKEA table, like one of the longer ones with 2 Alex drawers, one of the wide ones and one of the narrow ones. And then I have my sewing machine table that my husband bought for me quite a few Christmases ago. I've had it a long time and I love it. It's one of the ones where you can raise up the middle part so that the sewing machine sits on top of a flat table. So if you're stitching like a garment, for example, and you've got like a tight corner, like you want it raised. But the way I use it mostly is lowered. So it's lowered down. And then I had, I could order an acrylic insert that matched my sewing machine profile so that I can lower the machine down so that the I don't know what it's called, but the bottom of my throat plate, like where the stitching goes, your fabric goes, is level with that acrylic insert, and so it's like stitching on like a big surface, which for quilting is really handy, and so I use it mostly in that format. So anyways, I have that. I have a stand-up desk because my craft room also doubles as my office for when I do work at home. I don't work at home very much anymore, but there was a period of time in the last few years where I was working from home a lot, and so I purchased the stand-up desk. And then I have, so those are kind of all in an L shape that my stitching spot faces. And I have it's actually really nice. I bought myself a second monitor to hook up to my work computer. And then it has 2 HDMI ports, and I can connect it to, it doesn't have its own speakers, but I can connect it. No, I can use the Bluetooth on my Google TV. Is that what it's called? Like the little Google TV stick thing. So anyways, so I can plug, it has 2 HDMI ports. So one is where my computer goes into, and then one is, so it's basically like a little mini TV without having to buy a TV or have an extra thing in here. So I hooked up my Google Chrome to it, and then my Bluetooth speaker connects to the Google, and then I can watch YouTube videos, or I can watch all of our streaming. We don't have cable, so everything we watch is, streaming. So it's really handy to have that. And so that the moral of that story is my stitching spot faces that monitor that also acts as a TV, so I can sit in here and watch all of my FlossTube friends while I'm stitching or knitting. And then next to that is where, and I can show a picture at some point, is where I keep my serger, and then I have like one of the big Cricut irons and like a little mini one. That's just kind of like a parking spot for those. I do use my serger there, but all that there's really room for was it's like a folding table, like the rectangle, like giant folding tables with the plastic tops. It's like that, but it's the tiny Aldi version. And so that fits just perfectly in that little spot and holds those things. So, because I have a standing desk, I don't have any drawers for my office electronics, paper, pens, like all that stuff near my desk. And my other drawers are now full of all of my crafting things, especially since my cross stitch stash has grown so much. So this is all a really long way to tell you that I bought myself from Amazon a dress. It's not really a dresser, like a thing of drawers that is similar to the Alex style, because I don't have an IKEA close enough to me to just run to IKEA to get one. My IKEA is about 2.5 hours away. So I think they will look really similar, but of course it comes all in a box that I have to put it all together. So I really want it. That came on Friday, and I really want to get that together and kind of get things resorted, but we also have to decorate for Christmas, and then I'm going to have stitching and knitting to do. So I'm not sure what today's going to look like. Again, I don't want it to be too stressful. I do kind of want to get some of my Christmas stuff up. So we'll see how it all goes. So I don't know how we got to plans before we got to anything else, but just follow me along. Just following along. So, before we get into opening things, I wanted to show you my gnome from last year. So the clue today was a story, continuing this story about Nova, the new gnome that we're knitting this year. And in the story today, the gnome from last year, Nimblewoods, I think is his name, or he's the gnome of Nimblewoods. But he is the Lightbringer. So on the longest night, which is the winter solstice, he is in charge of bringing the light. And so this is the one that I stitched last year. I gauge swatched, and you decided to use bigger needles because I'm a tight knitter, and then he ended up like not monster size, but bigger than my mother-in-law stitched last year along with me. So he's a little bigger than hers, but he's adorable. He's got like a little working pocket here. Made his little tassel. And then he did not come with a light. So I made a shepherd's hook by doing I-cord around a pipe cleaner. And then I found, I mean, like, I'm not like an avid knitter. Like, I'm still learning a lot. So I was pretty impressed with all of these things. Like, I think I knit this hat 5 times before I got it right, because just knitting in the round and with double pointed, and I finally figured it out. Anyways, but so someone on the Ravelry group had designed this lantern and stitched and put their stitching instructions in the Ravelry thread. So I was able to make a light for him. So yeah, so that was an extra addition to the pattern, which is really fun to see kind of how people do all their different like variations or different ideas, or kind of come up with extra creative things to kind of go along with the gnome in the story. So he is stuffed with beans at the bottom because that's all I had at the time, and then he has just normal like craft stuffing in him. He also has a backpack. And so I think the backpack was actually one of the first things we knit, and I was like, why are we knitting a box? But it was really fun to make this pattern. And he's got I don't remember what this is called, but this was like a special technique that we learned for the braiding. It's like the half braid of this other Estonian braid, maybe, is that what it's called? And then he has Gnowmbleberry, which is his little friend. And so Gnowmbleberry comes out of his little backpack. And Gnowmbleberry, or not Gnowmbleberry, this is Gnowmbleberry. There we go. This is Gnowmbleberry. And then this is Gnewt with a G. Gnewt with a G. So Gnewt is in charge this year of the secret Santa exchange for all of the gnomes in the Nimblewoods this year. So that's what we learned about today, and they're going to add Nova to the exchange because she's coming to town new and they want to include her. So yeah, so that is mine. I will show you my mother-in-law's another day throughout this month, but thought that you would enjoy that. I knit this is fingering weight yarn, which is what the patterns call for, and this, I don't remember the colors now. This was my local needlework shop, Country Needleworks, where I get it's my local cross stitch store and my local knitting store. They had like the Emma's Yarn thread pack or knit yarn packs to kind of go with. So they're like it was a set of 4 mini skeins, 20-gram skeins, to knit him up. And then I picked my mother-in-law, as you can see him right there, picked a different skein or a color set, that colorway that was a little bit more her style. And then she ended up gifting him to me for Christmas when it was all done. So he's mine now. He lives with me. So yeah, no Imagine Landscapes Loopy You gifts to open today. So without further ado, I think it's time to show you my stitching and then open my holiday countdown envelope for today. So here is all the way caught up to day 3. And that is the blue Christmas color down here that we received yesterday. And it's really pretty. I like the slight variation from that lighter blue to the deeper. I'm really enjoying the deeper color. So I am excited to see what the rest of the set looks like. I'm assuming today that, I'm just going to reach over so I don't have to grab the basket. I'm assuming that this next color is going to be the color, but also as I was stitching it this morning, I was thinking about, like at some point, like there's more stitches than what we've stitched here in the red and the green too on the booklet. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how we start to incorporate extra colors. Maybe we will today. I don't know. So, okay, here comes the rustling. If you haven't opened your package, look away. I haven't really been on social media today because I've been avoiding it because I was waiting to open it to film, and I was waiting for the Imagine Landscapes clue. I didn't want to accidentally have a surprise ruined. So even though I'm not following the hashtag anymore for now, I'm struggling today. Oh, this is really good. Yeah, so now I'll be able to like get on Instagram and like check out all the things. All right, are you ready for today's color? Oh, it's a good name too. It's called The Grinch. I should have saved my movie conversation for today had I known, right? So good. I love that. It's like a Grinch color. I mean, it's this color. I'm trying to see. It looks like it, I mean, there's slight variegation in it. It looks like it's pretty solid. For a second, I thought I maybe saw just a little bit of like dirty color, like not that the floss isn't dirty, but like just a little bit of like it sort of looks a little dirty, like that yellowy brown here with like some of just like the more clean bright green. I don't know, I think it'll come out maybe in the stitching. Okay, so this is the new. Oh, I also had like a notification while I was stitching come through that Modern Folk Embroidery had posted a video after Friday's clue, and then realizing that the video was meant to go with it, I didn't watch it yet. So it looks like we add some green accent to the blue, like up here and here, like around these diamonds a little bit. And then, oh, okay. All right. And then we add similar shape to these guys down here along these points. And then over here on the edge, they kind of like the little two, like a Scandi kind of parallelogram shape, but they're hollow. They're empty on the inside. So they look really cool. And then there is like another row down here that there's nothing here, but it's like we're getting set up for the next part here by stitching a solid line of the green there. I'm really excited to get these on and see kind of how the colors play together. Awesome. All right. So today we'd love to share with you our favorite holiday songs and albums. Head over to our Instagram pages at Evertotes and at Modern Folk Embroidery to find out what we'll be listening to while stitching. So that's fun. So it's like a gift without like it being like a gift in the envelope. So I'll wind my floss and get that going. I do have to catch up my book, I think, too. I was thinking about that today. I yeah, I didn't do day 3's like fill in. So, and then I don't think I need to like start putting the symbols on the cards too, so that as I'm stitching I don't get confused, because with these little cards, they're really nice. I don't have to pull out like the big pattern, and so I want the symbols on the card so I don't have to pull out the bigger piece. But it's good to have this as a reference as things go along before I get really confused, because the pattern cards don't have the symbols on them, because I would, yeah, it just doesn't make sense that it would for other reasons. So oh, also I just noticed, let me see if I can cover it up. We have an arrow right on the side there, which means that we will be halfway through the depth, the length of, so no arrow across the top yet for the width of the chart, but we are halfway through like how long it will be. So one last look. All right, I thought this would be simple. We're still at 20 minutes. So yeah, happy stitching. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Bye. Okay, I'm back. So as soon as I stopped recording, I remembered one really important thing that probably I should have like been the first thing that we talked about. Yesterday, I reached a milestone, and I now have 100 subscribers. Like, that's crazy. It's huge. So I'm super excited. Thank you all for watching. And yeah, liking this enough to come back and want to see more. So I'm super excited. Thank you. And yeah, I'll go now. Bye.